was when I first skydived and I jumped off 13,000 feet.
And this is something you chose to do?
I chose to do. I chose to do, like when I was thinking of doing an MBA in 2016 era, doing an MBA in New Zealand was not much heard of. And a lot of people thought, like, why New Zealand? And I thought it was a perfect setting for me that I'll be studying my term papers and going to Queenstown for doing zip lining. You will feel as if you're zip lining across the forest, which is there in Star Wars. You know, you will see that kind of setting is there. The river rafting you do is like, it's of the magnitude you do in Ladakh or Uttaranchal, and skydive. I ended up doing 3 skydive throughout my 1 year of term. You know, I felt so much. There was 2 ice in Queenstown, 1 in Wanaka. And you know, I always tell the students, when any student contacts me why they should do an MBA, I'm like, academic is great, go for the sports adventure. Like, just I would urge, like, please, you know, like, ENZ should like bring Soha as early as possible.
I don't want to do skydiving. If the skydiving is mandatory, then you know we need to have another conversation. Yeah.
And apart from it, since she's a Bollywood star, the another moment which will always
yes, let's talk about the other moments.
So I was part of the Indian Students Association, and you know, I was part of the Bollywood fusion dance, and we did like 7-8 dances.
Did you really?
Yeah, and it was really great. Like dancing with, there were Kiwis also part of the Bollywood dance, and the way they adapted. But apart from the extracurricular, from the academic side, I think they are the finest faculty. The coursework was so well designed that it kind of attracted me for MBA. I work in the medical device, the healthcare industry, and throughout the last decade, the pitch has been value-based healthcare. You know, how we can make the best healthcare possible for all the people. I'll rate New Zealand education as value-based education. You know, you get the finest education. You know, it's like a complete package when it comes to studying in New Zealand.
Absolutely.
I'll advocate, like, throughout since I graduated, I think I was talking to someone, I was talking to Victoria, and counsel more than 50 students. And when I present them as a package, like, they don't think of any other option, but they think like, wow, you know, and such events, and Soha's here. So now I think ENZ will get a much better face. But
thanks for promoting me as well as
no, we all love you. But I think New Zealand education comes with a whole package. You know, the community, student community is very vibrant. They are the nicest people, very friendly people. The way they accommodate, you know, different cultures. Because we come from, say, I study from India, and I spoke. My best friend in NZ was a Kiwi, and his name is Alex. And I asked, Alex said, I would never leave my house to study in India or any other country. You know, so they say you guys are gutsy. You leave your home to study in another country and come. But you know, I think the whole setting of NZ and the people of NZ make it so easy that for us to immerse in that culture, you know, it's very quick.
I think you're absolutely right, which is one of the strengths of studying in New Zealand. I think is the fact that you feel, and the people there make you feel welcomed, which is a big deal when you're going such a long way away from home, your culture, your food, your environment, your climate, and then you go to a place. You know, I've also studied abroad, and it takes a while to settle in. But when you're working in a culture that is inclusive, that you know embraces diversity, that is welcoming, then your journey becomes so enjoyable, and these are people you stay in touch with for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Alex and you hopefully are still friends.
Yeah, I've traveled across 5 continents, 40 countries, but every time I get asked which is your favorite country, it's always New Zealand.
That's wonderful.
And you know, I think it might always be New Zealand.
Thank you.
Queenstown, my favorite city, so yeah.
No, thank you, Amit, for sharing that with so much passion. I'll turn now to Shabana. Shabana's yeah, I know that. So, if you could share maybe your top 3 learnings from your time in New Zealand at university.
Thank you, Soha, but it's a really difficult question to answer because I think I can write a book about it. So
don't do that right now. Just
yeah, not right now. I'll just begin with the 3. So I think I'm a passionate researcher, and much of it also comes from what I learned in New Zealand. So first thing I really learned about the value of practical as well as interdisciplinary learning. And as Jugnu shared, I was based at the School of Geography, Environment and Earth Sciences. So every Friday there used to be a lecture from different subject backgrounds. So we didn't only have the physical and human geographer, but also people from development studies, environmental sciences, as well as Antarctica Research Center and geology and all of that, and I get to learn all of it. I think it's much easier to learn through an expert when they are speaking in front of you rather than reading all those interdisciplinary books. So it really helped me a lot to grasp their point of view. And I think in New Zealand, even all of the research is very practical, and I get to meet all the professionals from disaster management field because my research was on natural hazards and disaster. I met so many people from Ministry of Civil Defence and Emergency Management, which was really great, and that made me to think more passionately about my research because it did have a direct implication what governments can do, what people can do about such situations. So that is my first learning. The second one is I got to be more independent. I think I went to New Zealand when I was 25, 26 years, but it was the first time I was moving out of my house to live somewhere which I don't know anything about. Even though I got a lot of counseling, including Jugnu, I remember, first time I met that time as well. And I went there, my supervisor and all the people were very comforting. Initially, it was a shock from Delhi, such a big scale difference to going to Wellington. But like after 5 years, I never wanted to come back. I was like, I want to be here. And Wellington is my favorite city as well.
Thank you very much, Grant. Great. Can I now request Soha to share her thoughts on her association with Education New Zealand Manapao Ki.
Thank you so much, Jugnu. And thank you firstly, Grant, for this lovely token. So where should I put it in the house? At the entrance?
Yes.
Okay. That is what we need. All right. Thank you so much. And I'm just so excited to be a part of this family. I believe in New Zealand we call it for now, but I'm hoping it's not just for now. It's for a lot longer. Sorry. As a brand advocate, thank you for that. As a brand advocate for India, I think it's a really organic connection because a lot of you who know me will understand the importance of education in my life, how I've seen it's really helped me stand apart in so many ways and given me so much confidence. We've understood the importance of education in India, and we've seen how literacy has made such a huge difference for all of us. So I think the importance that New Zealand gives to education is one of the various ways that we've connected. And I'm so excited that I've got to know so much more about New Zealand ever since this partnership started. Before this partnership, my connection with New Zealand was one very special one. When my father captained the Indian cricket team, it was our first overseas win, was in New Zealand. So we're now remaking history and building and deepening our partnership beyond that. Of course, there's so many things about New Zealand that I knew earlier, apart from its beauty. One of the values that resonates with us as a country and me as a person is things like inclusion, things like sustainability, which I know are very important underpinnings of the educational system and the curriculum. And that's something that meant a lot to me when we started this journey. That apart, of course, excellence as well. And the fact that even though there are only 8 universities in New Zealand, they are among the top 3% in the world. So that just shows how much excellence there is over there. So more than me, of course, we have representatives who've actually lived the educational system, they will speak to you and all of us about their experiences there. But I'm just so excited to learn so much more from all of you. One of the reasons, again, I thought that it was wonderful that we're connecting with New Zealand is inclusion, and to speak to that is the fact that New Zealand was one of the first countries that offered women the right to vote, which was something that I learned also more recently. So it's these things, I think, that speak volumes, and again, actions that speak more than words. So it's a beautiful culture and a beautiful language, and so many things that I'm learning, for example, about Aotearoa, which is, again, another way of saying New Zealand. And as I said, there are people here who know so much more that will speak to you. And one of the places that I wanted to start was with Grant, because you're here to talk about that. But we'll go into that in detail. Just thank you for including me. Thank you for making me a brand advocate. I hope that I get to go to New Zealand because I haven't been. And it's been on my list for such a long time. So I don't know if that's part of this partnership, but I really hope it is. Just putting it out there.
Great. I think we've got quite a few DVCs who've taken a note of that, and also Grant who's taken a note of that. So that was really a wonderful way to set the scene for the conversations ahead, Soha. I'll let you now lead the Correrero of these discussions, so over to you.
Okay, thank you. I'm actually not usually in this seat. Usually I answer the questions, and you have to be far more attentive when you're asking the questions, and you have a script as well. So I will try and stick to it. But it's exciting to be in control. I don't know if I'm in control, but it's exciting to apparently be in control of this conversation. But before I go into the conversation, I do have to draw attention to this beautiful painting behind us, of which I don't know much about, and I think, Grant, maybe you can tell us what exactly this signifies.
So what you're seeing here is a traditional greeting, a Maori greeting. They're our indigenous people of New Zealand. It's referred to as a hongi, and it is bringing together of noses, sometimes foreheads as well, and also people put their hand on the shoulder. It's also, we undertake a handshake at the same time, and it's around bringing people closer together, sharing that environment, and it's a way of being more welcoming than just a sort of extended hand and a handshake. So, yeah, a very traditional part of New Zealand and our culture.
And does this happen in a formal setting or in an informal setting?
No, it can happen any time. It is just a recognition of greeting in any circumstances.
It's beautiful. Have you ever taken part in a hongi?
Part of this, yes, I have seen during the induction which took place at Otago. I had seen the Maori dance and it was fascinating, you know, I got like goosebumps when I saw it. And, you know, it's fierce, but at the same time it's very elegant. It's got its own rhythm in its own way, and, you know, the culture of Maori is like very, very interesting. One of my very dear friends was a Maori, and I got to, you know, see that culture. Even we had people from Samoa, Tonga, and in India we have so many cultures, right? We live among so many religions, different cultures, and it was just an extension which I never thought I'll get it in NZ. And I fell in love with New Zealand when I was there. You know, they're the nicest people on earth.
So how many years were you there for?
I was there for a year.
For a year.
But I felt like I lived a decade there with a, you know, I was with a very immersive experience there.
But can you, I know it's very difficult to try and pinpoint one experience that maybe stood out for you in your time in New Zealand, but if there's one that you could refer to that was perhaps the most memorable.
So my most memorable, not just in New Zealand, but entire life,